Just about to get my slab mill. She's sexy.
That's right.
Right, so we'll just get this clamped up. I've marked my end. 45mm from here and 45mm from here. And just clamp this into place. Darling has just made her first baked cheesecake and it looks beautiful. Looks beautiful, babe.
Am I sexy? Am I sexy? No, in all seriousness, guys, when you're doing any type of polyurethaning or
that's a bit better, isn't it? Whew, it's a bit high in here. Can't even think. Cooker.
Okay, so yeah, when you're doing any type of polyurethaning or any type of solvent work, you really want to have a really good mask, man. I mean, seriously. Yeah, this stuff is really not very good.
Okay, guys, when you're doing polyurethane, few keys to it really. Don't put too much on at once. You just want to put a nice coat on, a nice thin coat. You don't want to have any runs or dribbles going down your work. So if you put too much poly on, she's just going to run and you're just going to end up sanding and it's going to be a never-ending process. These two bench seats that I'm doing in pin oak, and the only reason I'm really polyurethaning underneath is to get a nice good seal coat over the raw timber and that'll stop any moisture being absorbed and causing the table to crack or twist. When you're doing your polyurethane on slab timber, it's very, very important to make sure that you get the end grain really well coated. On the top of the seats and the rails and legs, I'm putting on 6 to 7 coats of polyurethane, but I'll put about 10 to 12 on the end grain on the end of the bench seats to make sure that we don't have any cracking issues or absorption or whatever of moisture, as the end grain and all timber will suck in the moisture 15 times quicker than your it'll suck in the grain. No, it won't suck in the grain. End grain sucks in moisture and dries 15 times faster than the surface long grain surface, whatever. I've got too much. I think I've had too much polyurethane this morning. It's pretty tight, your resin ring this morning. I've got a fair few projects on the go and some stuff that's overdue on going out. So let's crack on doing this. I'm not worried about putting it on too thick on the underside, as I'm not really worried about dribbles or runs, because the main purpose of doing that is just to seal the timber on the legs and the rest of the frame. Just a nice thin coat, not too thin so it looks dryish when you're brushing, and not too thick so you don't get runs and dribbles turned down. But yeah, let's get started with spraying this epoxy out and getting this tabletop sealed. That is going to be more than enough. There's most likely about a litre on here at the moment. And I'm just using my little, I'm using my wife's window scrape at the moment. I don't think she's going to be overly stoked about that, but never mind. I'm not really worried about how thick it is. I don't want it thick at all. I want it really thin, so it really soaks into the timber. Don't get too hung up on, oh, I've poured out my epoxy and I've got spots that are wet and spots that are dry, and then go back and try to fill up those spots. This is no point. The reason for that is some parts of timber will suck the epoxy in a lot faster than others, and you're going to come back and give it a second, possibly a third or fourth coat, but I normally find that 2 to 3 coats, very thin seal coats, is more than enough to seal my work. After I've done my final pour and my flood coat on the top of my table, I always like to build up the ends of the table where the end grain is with at least 5 to 7 mils of epoxy. This is because the end grain does dry 15 times faster than the rest of the table, even though it's fully encapsulated. From bad experience once before, I found that I got a little tiny crack in the end of the table that was exposed, and subsequently after about 6 months she put a big crack through the middle of the table. So what I'm doing here is I've got this fantastic tape, and I just do a couple of small pours of around 2 mil each time to build the edge here up to 5 mil. On this end I've just left the paper on the outside, and I'm just going to be playing around with different effects that I can attach or detach as I see fit. The table is out of control.